Hello, this is Jeff with the Valhalla Ventures, thevalhallaventures.com, reguideservice.com, reiguideservice.com. That's the website. It will be broken down into sections eventually so that different links do different things. Right now it's kind of a hodgepodge because I'm really great at real estate and investments, not so good at designing and building websites, and I want to know how to do it, so I'm doing it myself. Might hear some cows in the background. I am currently sitting on a tractor. I don't know what kind of impression I'm trying to give you about myself by doing this setup. I just really like the lighting that you really can't see very well now that I'm looking at it. Anyway, it is a few days into November, a couple days past my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Wanted to talk about all kinds of different stuff, what the world's looking like, what investments are looking like, and that kind of thing. Lumber prices have gone just insane, which means cost of repairs and rehabs and buildings. And I know for a lot of smaller projects that might not have a massive effect, when those prices go up for stuff like that. It does have an effect, of course, but not a massive effect. Whereas, imagine if you're one of these developers that have 150 houses that are supposed to be built this year and all the lumber prices doubled. It makes it difficult. When you think about when we're investing, how does that affect the market? What parts of the market in real estate does that affect? Doesn't that then increase the value of existing real estate too? Because if it's going to cost more to replace that or to build housing, then that automatically makes the existing housing costs go up. That's just how it works. Look at a lot of the places when there was oil booms, there would be apartments that were renting for $500-$600 a month before oil was there and they needed housing. And then all of a sudden comes an oil boom. That town doesn't have any housing. And next thing you know, you got that same place that's renting out for $1,000, $1,500 a month. Because the need really dictates, or the demand really dictates what the cost is and that kind of thing. And you can get into the supply and demand, and then like emergency situations, like should you allow price gouging and that kind of stuff for housing, like you do for gasoline and water and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's a really great discussion to have from a philosophical standpoint or whatever, but from a real estate investor standpoint, it doesn't really matter necessarily enough to include it in one of these early videos. It might be something I'll discuss later. But so the lumber prices are going up a ridiculous amount, which means that the existing housing will go up. It does mean also that your labor costs are going to go up. Waste is going to go up because you can figure that most contractors, builders, developers are adding about 10% on top of the cost of materials. And if you're doubling the cost of materials, now you're paying 20% of what you were originally paying. Instead of paying 10%, you double that. So if your project was $5,000 of extra money that was just going to your contractor or developer, now it's $10,000. And that's just some things to consider. Does it become worth it for you to supply the materials? Are you going to start shopping around? Are you going to then hold the liability for the quality of materials? And there's just a lot of things that you need to consider when doing development now, looking and shopping for deals, especially if those projects, used to not be a big deal to convert a two-car garage into a game room or a playroom or something like that. And because you're talking about some lumber, some windows, and some siding, insulation, drywall, that kind of stuff. But if lumber prices have doubled, and that was only $1,000 worth of lumber before, it's $2,000 now. You just keep working your way through the different projects that houses have, and you just got to take that into consideration when bidding on these things. And that's why it's important you keep on top of, even if you hire a contractor, you need to have regular conversations and go check out lumber prices. It's not that hard to do. You can do it from your phone. Like just look up what a 2x4 costs at Home Depot or Lowe's or McCoy's or Ace or any of these lumber places. I've said it before, there's not really much of a discount. There might be some places that give you 10% here and there, but what you really need to do is you need to consider the quality of what it is you're getting. A 2x4 is not a 2x4 is not a 2x4. The quality of materials, the length of time and growth, the finish, the curing. There's a lot of different aspects of it. I've said in some of my walkthrough videos that all 2x4s, all lumber really has a crown to it, which means it has a certain amount of bow, right? So it depends on like that. It depends on what it is that you're building, right? If you're building a long wall and you have a bow like this, and the next one goes like this, and then it goes like this, your wall is going to be all funky. But if you can crown them all the same way, then you can usually hide that with some shims, wood shims in between the drywall and the framing. But nowadays it's hard. You buy a whole pallet of 2x4s and you're lucky if 20% of them are any good. That's why a lot of people have moved to finger joints. Finger joint studs are all right in some applications. I wouldn't use them in any kind of structural aspects, but basically it's like 2-3 foot sections of good 2x4 that they lopped off and connected to another 2 or 3 foot section, lopped off, connected to another 2 or 3 foot section. So you might have 3 or 4 sections in an 8 foot run on a 2x4. But anyway, that's a lot of information on 2x4s. The other part of what I wanted to talk about that I think is real important is direction and goals. I've talked about goal setting forever. You want to make sure that you're spending your time, your energy, your imagination, your information on things that are going to serve you, serve your family, serve your goals, serve what it is that you want to do. My lighting has just gone completely. This is what happens when you deal with natural lighting. I do still have my one big light, so still have to keep the sunglasses on. Goal setting is really important because if you don't know what your goals are, then you don't ever really have any opportunity to take a break. I think that was one of my big things when I started as a handyman. My goal was to not work. My goal was to have the cheapest house possible. I did buy a house early when I first moved out, and my goal was just to slowly fix it up and make it decent. I didn't want it to be amazing. I just wanted it to be decent. Honestly, I just didn't really think that far ahead. I just wanted really low bills so that I could do lots of stuff. I liked, horseback riding with friends, and I had a lot of friends that had horses and stuff, yuppies, rich kids that I grew up with. Most of the time when I went horseback riding when I was younger, it was actually I was working. I'd go work at like stables and whatnot on the weekends, muck stalls and whatnot, so that I could then be allowed to ride people's horses and not have to pay to ride people's horses. It was kind of just, I don't know, getting paid to ride horses, but also having to clean shit out of a stall, but without having to pay vet bills. So it was kind of a win-win around for a lot of different aspects. But anyway, having goals is real important because, here comes my cat. Having goals is real important, and one of the main reasons that having goals is real important is that having goals is real important is because without goals you never know when you're done. We easily get lost in the mix of what it is that we're doing, and if we don't have some sort of like checklist or way to figure out what it is that we're doing, if what we're doing is the path towards success, it's real easy to get lost, right? You don't have a plan, you don't have an outcome you want. I know tons of people that want to be wealthy and just sit back and do nothing and have the world kind of just whatever. But what do they want to do with that, right? Because a lot of them are just sitting around wasting time waiting to be rich or wealthy, or they have a bunch of different schemes they're into and whatnot and things they're trying to figure out, and that's fine. But there's never any goal besides wealthy or make a bunch of money selling timeshares or make a bunch of money being a real estate agent, or make a bunch of money being an investor, or make a bunch of money on cryptocurrency. It's all about just make a bunch of money. Very rarely about what are you going to do with it. What are you going to do with that money? Which, like, that's not a goal. Making lots of money is not really a goal. What you're going to do with that money is the goal, right? Like, are you going to travel the world? Are you going to sit in a shop that you build and make custom motorcycles? Are you going to learn how to be a blacksmith? What are you going to do? You're going to open a charity organization and adopt 100 kids? Are you going to, what are you going to do? And I think that that's what's real important. And the part that's missing is not setting that goal of what do you want to do with your success. Like, the goal always seems to be to get somewhere, but never. It's like saying, I want to go to Disneyland. I want to go to Disneyland. Okay, well, what are you going to do? I'm going to do all the things at Disneyland. Well, you can't. So realistically, it's impossible for most people, unless you're going to spend weeks there. You can't do everything. So, I mean, do you want to go to Epcot? Do you want to go to, like, Wild Kingdom? Do you want to, what do you want to do? What's the itinerary? Because just getting there and then not knowing what the fuck you're going to do, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff. You're not going to really, like, it's kind of like saving all of your money to go on a cruise. And then you get on the cruise and you realize you just wanted to sit by a pool. So you spent $10,000 to go on a cruise ship, sit next to a pool, when you could have gone to a hotel, sat next to their pool. It's all about what it is that you really want out of life. What's the end goal? I personally, and I've said before, I've been around some fairly wealthy people, and I don't really like the lifestyle that they live. I mean, obviously, I'm sitting in a tractor with animals just walking up on me. I don't want to be wealthy for the sake of being wealthy. I don't personally look at a massive bank account as any kind of trophy. I would much rather, sorry, cat's rude. I'd much rather live a life where I can say, I spend most of my time with my kids. I'm obviously at my house right now. I haven't made a video in a while. It's not that I've been super swamped with work, because I pick and choose the projects that I want to do. I pick and choose the people that I want to work with. I pick and choose the time that I want to invest in things. Because I spent years and years and years, 20 years, thinking I was working towards a goal that it was just money. It wasn't, like, there's all this other sprinkled in stuff, bullshit, that was sprinkled in to make me feel better about it, I guess. Like, whenever I get wealthy, I'm going to do all this stuff. But why? Wait, do it now. What do I like doing? I like fixing things. I like hanging out with my kids. Okay, so I'm not in a mansion. Well, yeah, but I don't want to clean a mansion. I don't want to deal with a maid or a staff or any of the stuff that comes with having that big, fancy, giant house. Like, it's a pain. My house is not that big and not that fancy. It's nice, though. I like it. It's comfortable. My surroundings outside of my house are comfortable. My yard's comfortable. I put in an outdoor shower that I did myself, and I think it cost me like $150 or $160, something like that. And I mean, I just tied into where my washer and dryer connections were and ran it outside, and there's no drain. It's just hot water, cold water, the regular shower head. I made the actual controller, but whatever. That's not, what do they call that? The mixer? I'm not sure what they call that. I was trying to figure out what they called it. I can't remember. But my point is that I really did work for a lot of years towards the goal of just being successful, and it wasn't even so that I felt successful. It's so that I didn't have to tell people that I was successful. Get a boat. Get a wakeboarding boat. I got one of those. Get a Get a shuttle bus and jack it up and put a crazy stupid sound system in it, and mud tires and air ride suspension. Oh, I did that. Limousine paint, I did that. Limousine tent, I did that. Yeah, everything was crazy. And it was so people would be like, oh, he's successful. Oh, look at this guy. This guy's got money. But I don't know. It just seemed dumb. It was a lot of work, a lot of stuff to maintain. I've had the same truck since 2001, 2002, something like that. Beginning in 2002. And I love it. I've kept it nice. It's got a nice paint job. And I'm rambling on about all this stuff about myself to tell you that I don't know. I like the idea of being rich. I like the idea of that big, white house with the big columns and like that big, long, rectangular pool, little kid statues peeing in it or whatever. You got to worry about your staff stealing from you, people that aren't really your friends because they just want money. Got to maintain a level of like decorum. I'm not into all that. Now, money is very important, and I love money. I still like it. I still work for it. I mean, I'm not back to wearing rags and eating Spam out of a can. I ate steak last night. It was delicious. I enjoy some of the finer things in life, but not for show. It's all things that I really enjoy. I'll go down to the butcher shop and all my meat is right there. I see it, grass-fed, way more expensive than what's at the grocery store, and I feel like a baller. I mean, because I've achieved my goal, right? I get to eat the baller, grass-fed, expensive stuff, and I don't flinch. I don't worry about. I'm still cheap though. I'm still not buying like the top of the line. I did have one of those. What are those called? Wagyu steaks. I think that's how you say it. I had one of those one time, and it was freaking delicious. It was one of the best cuts of meat I've ever had for sure. It was great. I wouldn't have paid for it. Someone else paid for it. So I guess in closing, what I'm saying is making sure that your goals are matching your behaviors. It's just so important. Because if you're not matching your goals or your behaviors, if you're working on things that don't matter, right, towards what you really want, you're going to look back at it and think of that as wasted time, and that's unfortunate. It's, you're not really wasting time if you're learning things from it or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's the end of the day. And I think that focusing on goals is important. Keeping track of what's going on in the markets around you is important. Figuring out what you want to do in life, beyond just the money part, is important. And making sure that you put your cat up before you start making videos so they don't run up and possibly mess with your camera the whole time you're doing a video. It's on the other side of the camera doing that the whole time. Just batting at it right now, trying to knock it down. Anyway, look. If you got any questions for me about lumber prices or any other kind of information you might want to need to be an investor, if you're thinking about getting into the investing world and you want to find out what it is that you need to do to start your goal setting for yourself, feel free to reach out to me, thevalhallaventures.com, reguideservice.com, REIGUIDESERVICE.com is how you can get a hold of me. I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you bless others in their days, and we will talk at you soon. All right? Sorry for the ramble. It's less than 20 minutes, though. That's not bad.